What if Padme Amidala died during the Clone Wars? That's the story for today. I hope you guys enjoy. I really liked writing this one, so do let me know what you think in the comments. Please do leave a like, and let's get right into it. Chancellor Palpatine sat in his office, and there was a grave look on his face, one of despair and fear. Senators and HoloNet news reporters swarmed his office as he prepared to address what had just happened. He was being asked all sorts of questions about the war following this latest tragedy. During a peaceful meeting between Republic senators and Separatist Council leaders, a bombing had occurred, killing everyone in the meeting. It was a bombing organized by Darth Sidious, as the two sides were getting too peaceful, hoping to conclude the war. And usually when tragedies like these happened, Palpatine had to hold back a pretend look of despair. But today was different. He feared his plans for Anakin Skywalker may never be the same because of who was leading the peace talks for the Republic. Anakin's secret wife, Padme Amidala. Once the news reached Anakin, he might completely break. And on the planet Umbara, Anakin continued his campaign with Rex and his 501st troopers when a transport landed nearby. Jedi General Pong Krell got off the transport and told Anakin he was called back to the Jedi Temple. Krell would be taking over this campaign, aided by Master Kenobi. Anakin hated this, but he accepted it. The Council must have some urgent news to call him all the way back to Coruscant like this. And on the bright side, a trip to Coruscant meant some time with his wife. Anakin thought about how much he missed Padme as he entered hyperspace. A night with her could wash away all the pain of the war. He smiled to himself. Rex and the men were in fine hands, and tonight he would be with Padme. The Jedi Council watched the recording of the bombing and then the HoloNet announcement by Chancellor Palpatine. This was a grave day for the Republic, for more reasons than they knew. Not long ago, Anakin's Padawan Ahsoka Tano had entered the Council chambers. Her sadness was evident, and she informed the Council that Anakin needed to know what happened. Needed to know what happened to Padme. She told the Council that Anakin and Senator Amidala were close. The Council knew this for the most part, and Master Yoda had willingly turned a blind eye as Anakin led the Jedi in the war effort, but he knew this would unbalance young Skywalker. They didn't know how much it could do. They didn't know they were married. They only knew Anakin and Padme were close. And Anakin flew through Coruscant when a HoloNet billboard caught his eye. It read, 10 senators dead in separatist bombing. Fear lurched into Anakin's heart as he reached the temple. He tried contacting Padme. Nothing. He sprinted into the council chambers, fear and anger creeping up as he suspected the worst, and he walked into the council members looking at him anxiously. Yoda was unreadable, but Windu looked the most anxious, and the hologram of Kenobi, he looked just saddened. Anakin, on the verge of tears already, asked what was wrong, and the council told him simply, a Senate meeting was bombed by the Separatists. There were no survivors, and the meeting was led by Senator Amidala. For what seemed like forever, Anakin didn't even move. He just stared blankly into the sky, past all the members, all the masters of the council, and at the apartment where Padme lived. Or used to live. Eventually, Anakin coldly asked who was behind the attack. Windu said they suspected Dooku, as Padme was close to peace talks with the Separatists, something Dooku did not want. Anakin did not say another word, walking out of the council. He felt nothing. He couldn't allow himself to feel anything. If he did, he knew he would lose himself forever. And as he left, Ahsoka was waiting outside the chambers. Anakin brushed her aside without saying a word. Ahsoka chased Anakin to the temple stairs. She told Anakin he needs to wait, that she and the Jedi can help. Finally, Anakin turned, saying that he needed to sort this out all on his own, without her and without the council. Ahsoka said she understood and watched Anakin walk alone down the temple stairs. A bit later, Anakin found himself in Padme's apartment. He looked into a mirror, and he didn't even see himself anymore. He saw the person, the evil that was hiding deep inside of him. And in anger, Anakin ignited his lightsaber, cutting through the mirror, then cutting through the wall, pushing into a new room. Cutting through their bed, the couch, then through another wall, as he found himself staring into the Coruscant skyline. And Anakin saw Padme standing at the balcony. Anakin ran over, but she faded as he reached her. A vision, or a nightmare. Anakin fell to his knees. He was falling apart, losing himself. He needed to talk to someone. Chancellor Palpatine stared into the Coruscant traffic as he felt Anakin enter the room. He was a shell of himself. Palpatine had underestimated how much Padme truly meant to him. The boy was vulnerable. Anakin sat down, and the two talked before Palpatine got an update from Umbara. He was intrigued, and he read it aloud to Anakin. He said Jedi General Pong Krell has been killed on Umbara. CT-7567, Captain Rex, reported that he turned on his men, killing many of them before the Jedi General was killed. Palpatine watched Anakin now, and he felt a rumbling begin in his office. Objects began to lift, glasses broke, the window shattered, and Palpatine even felt himself rise a bit into the air. Anakin slammed his fist into the desk, destroying it. He was bleeding from the hand now, but he felt nothing. First Padme died because of the war, and now his own men were being slaughtered by the Jedi. He walked up to Palpatine, demanding to know what it will take to end the war, end the fighting, end it all. He couldn't take any more. Palpatine was both afraid and ecstatic. Anakin would be his. And he told Anakin that in due time it would all end, and that he would stand at the top. But not yet. Anakin felt his anger try to subside. He was ashamed. He hated the war. He hated everything right now. He needed to get away from it all. And so he would. Anakin could not let himself go dark, could not go evil. He had to stay good for Padme. He would get away from it all, and he couldn't tell anyone where he was going. But first, Anakin traveled to Naboo for the funeral. It was beautiful, and Anakin was trying to focus only on the good memories. Nothing about the war, or the Jedi, or anything except Padme, her smile, her laugh, their shared love. And for the first time since he smiled to himself leaving Umbara, Anakin smiled again as he watched the funeral. When it concluded, he went to her grave and said his final goodbyes. Anakin said he was afraid of the darkness inside of him and had to leave for a while to train himself to let go of darkness. He feared what he could become if he stayed and fought through his pain, through his emotions. But Anakin promised he would return to her one day. And so Anakin took off into hyperspace. He memorized where all of the greatest Jedi temples were, and he went to the one that most reminded him of Naboo and Padme, the one on Ahch-To. Anakin landed on the planet, and over the next few weeks, leading into months, leading into an entire year, Anakin cut himself from the war, from everything except himself. He trained in the Force, trained with a lightsaber, but did it all while teaching himself to stay in the light. For Padme, she would hate to see him go dark. Anakin considered what it would be like if he embraced it, but he couldn't do it. That is not what Padme would want, and Anakin had to live in her memory, no matter how hard, how painful it was to separate himself. But this, for the first time Anakin realized, was the first time he was truly free. No longer a child slave, nor a servant of the Jedi Order for war. He was himself, and he was happy. On Coruscant and everywhere else, the war continued, but Anakin was no longer in it. At first, the Jedi assumed he was just taking his own time away, but after weeks, they realized Anakin was either gone, dead, captured, or somewhere hidden in the galaxy. Obi-Wan took over training Ahsoka until he returned, and the two of them helped each other with the disappearance of Padme and Anakin. The war continued on, but the loss of Anakin was noticeable, and Darth Sidious had to adjust as well. The disappearance of Anakin was not ideal, but he would adapt. He always did. The Senate bombing, combined with the betrayal of Pong Krell, and then the disappearance of Skywalker had the Jedi Order on edge. Many of them would do anything to end this war and get out. So Sidious focused on 5 different Jedi, sending them into brutal battles, slowly manipulating them to the dark side. And when the time was right, Sidious met with Barriss Offee, Bode Akuna, Taron Malicos, Eeth Koth, and Ser Junda. Sidious had manipulated them to the dark side, and was now executing his mission. Dooku and Grievous attacked Coruscant, capturing Chancellor Palpatine, and once captured, these 5 Jedi came to his rescue. Dooku was told that he would be captured, and slowly the Jedi would explain corruption in the Republic, allowing Dooku to emerge as a leader for the new Empire. Instead, the 5 Jedi boarded and attacked Dooku. As Dooku prepared to fight, Sidious betrayed him, electrocuting him, and he died there on the invisible hand. The 5 Jedi escaped with Palpatine, and together in a HoloNet transmission, they had explained that Dooku was working with the Jedi this entire time. The Republic now thought of the Jedi as traitors, and this broadcast was released too late for the Jedi to realize what was going on. As they watched the recording in the Council, Order 66 was executed. Mace Windu watched from the Council chambers as the holograms of Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, Shaak-Ti, Stas Ali, Depa Billaba, Coleman Kaj, Appa Rancis, and even Grandmaster Yoda blinked out. Sidious killed them with the clones, and even ordered a full-scale bombardment of Yoda's location. He couldn't tell if Obi-Wan died or lived, but he was gone, and Windu heard blaster fire in the temple below. The Jedi Temple was under attack. The 5 turned Jedi, along with the planted Inquisitors in the temple, they attacked with the clones, and in the end, as the clones won, every council member except for Kenobi was dead. Sidious met with his survivors, Taron Malicos, Barriss Offee, and Eeth Koth. He told them they did well, and immediately pulled down a pillar on top of them with ease, taking them by surprise. Malicos and Barriss died, and Eeth Koth, buried under it, asked why Sidious did this, and Sidious cut him down with his own lightsaber. Sidious said that none of them were worthy of being a Sith apprentice. They were no Skywalker, and Sidious was taking his anger out on Skywalker, on these fallen Jedi. The Sith Lord went on to announce the Republic was reforming into an empire, while Master Kenobi and his apprentice Ahsoka went to the temple to find the destruction and the security footage of the 5 traitorous Jedi killing and then being killed. Everyone was gone, except for them. They'd survived the battle on Utapau. Now fighting Sidious would be an extremely difficult task. They needed help. They needed Anakin. Could he be alive? Obi-Wan and Ahsoka decided to try something, and together they got into a deep meditation. They focused on nothing but Anakin, trying to find him in the Force. On Ahch-To, Anakin meditated atop a rock overlooking the endless water. Over the last year, he'd given himself to the Force, and he had found clarity. The war would sometimes cross his mind, but he'd trained himself to be at peace. That would play out as it should. He was listening to the will of the Force, and occasionally could even feel the presence of his first master, Qui-Gon Jinn. But today was different. Today the Force had been very dark, and Anakin searched into it for answers. He saw the temple on fire and ruined. He saw Palpatine, his old friend, his mentor, as Darth Sidious. He saw Yoda, Windu, Plo Koon, many others gunned down by clones. And he saw Obi-Wan now. But Obi-Wan was not in a vision. It was like he was standing in front of him. His old master spoke, asking Anakin to come back to help. The vision ended, and Anakin had to catch his breath. So much had just happened. So much evil. Was this caused by his exile? Could he have prevented this? Anakin felt the dark side in him again, had to push it down. It was the first time he'd felt it in this entire time exiled. Anakin was afraid, in need of guidance. He just saw his mentor turn into a Sith Lord. He needed help. And a voice came from behind him. Qui-Gon. Anakin couldn't believe it, but Qui-Gon Jinn stood in front of him now, blue and transparent. But this really was him. Qui-Gon told Anakin that he had done well. He listened to the will of the Force, and now he must continue to do so, as the Force called him back to Coruscant, to fulfill his destiny. As Qui-Gon faded, he told Anakin that he is the Chosen One, and Anakin stared into the ocean again, remembering Padme. Qui-Gon was right. It was time for him to return, and fulfill his destiny. On Coruscant, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka were making their way to the Senate chambers, where Darth Sidious resided. After an initial confrontation, the two of them fought Sidious together as they rose through the air on a Senate pod. He was extremely powerful, more than the Jedi had expected. In the Senate area, Sidious blasted Ahsoka with lightning, sending her across the room down to the floor. Obi-Wan fought with the Sith Lord now, and was also kicked to the ground. The laughter of Sidious filled the air as Obi-Wan and Ahsoka slowly got up. They were defeated. Obi-Wan didn't know how long they would last. Then, Obi-Wan felt his comlink beeping. He answered to Anakin's voice. Obi-Wan sighed in extreme relief. His brother was alive. He told Anakin they were fighting Sidious in the Senate chambers. Obi-Wan couldn't believe it. His meditation, his call to Anakin, it worked. Their strong connection had brought Anakin back. Darth Sidious prepared to leap down and finish off the Jedi when he too felt something. He looked up to the ceiling in terror as a hole was blasted into it with a ship. Through the smoke, Sidious barely saw someone descending to him. Anakin Skywalker landed on the Senate pod of Sidious, destroying it, sending the Sith Lord tumbling to the ground. Sidious slowly got up and looked ahead to see Anakin Skywalker with Kenobi and Ahsoka behind him. Scowling, he put up his lightsaber as the Jedi attacked. Sidious, though incredibly powerful, was taken aback by the intensity of their assault. He blocked each strike with precision as the blue and green blades clashed with the fiery red. The Jedi's attacks, their relentless pressure, quickly began to overwhelm Sidious. Anakin's balanced strikes came from one side, while Obi-Wan's calculated moves approached from the other, and Ahsoka, displaying her agility, added just another layer to the assault. Sidious's confident demeanor faltered as he struggled to fend off the three Jedi. The Senate chamber echoed with the hum of lightsabers, the explosive bursts of the Force. Marble columns crumbled from behind, the grandeur of the room faded into insignificance compared to the clash of these warriors. And despite his powers, Sidious was finding it very difficult to counter the combined Jedi. He was now pushed back, step by step, towards the central platform of the Senate. The Jedi's relentless pursuit chipped away at his defenses, and Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka grew stronger. Anakin soon disarmed the Sith Lord, and in one swift motion, cut him in half, destroying the Sith. They won. Soon after, the Republic would step back in once it was revealed that Palpatine was Darth Sidious, the man behind the Separatist movement. There were security recordings in the Senate that Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and Anakin were able to get since Sidious had been destroyed. Obi-Wan aided Bail Organa as they put the Republic back into place. And Anakin went back to Naboo, where he sat with Padme's grave. He told her about his time in exile, and about how he returned to defeat the Sith. He regretted not being there for the Jedi as they fell, but he was able to let go, become who he was supposed to be. He told Padme that he would always come back, whenever he could, but for now, he was off to rebuild the Jedi Order with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. And folks, that's where our story ends today. I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed writing this one. I've never done one where Anakin kind of overcomes the darkness, not by just going with the light, but rather going off on his own. So I wanted to take that path. I hope you enjoyed. It kind of reflects Luke's journey as well. I know that's kind of controversial, but I wanted to explore it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I really liked taking this different path for the most part. So yeah, let me know what you want me to do next, and I'll see you in the next video.